The United States presidential election of 1860 was a pivotal moment in American history, setting the stage for the Civil War. Held on November 6, 1860, the election featured four main candidates, each representing different factions and views on slavery and states' rights. Political landscape and candidates. The election occurred amid escalating tensions over slavery and states' rights. The Democratic Party split into Northern and Southern factions. Stephen A. Douglas, representing the Northern Democrats. Stephen Arnold Douglas, 1813-1861, was a prominent American politician and U.S. Senator from Illinois, best known for his role in the debates over slavery in the years leading up to the Civil War. Nicknamed the Little Giant due to his short stature but powerful presence, Douglas was a key architect of the Kansas-Nebraska Act of 1854, which introduced the principle of popular sovereignty, allowing settlers in new territories to decide for themselves whether to permit slavery. Douglas played a central role in the Lincoln-Douglas debates of 1858, where he defended popular sovereignty against Abraham Lincoln's arguments that slavery should not expand into the Western territories. Though Douglas won re-election to the Senate after those debates, they elevated Lincoln's national profile. In the election of 1860, Douglas ran as the Northern Democratic candidate for president. His party was deeply divided over slavery, which led to a split in the Democratic vote and the eventual victory of Republican Abraham Lincoln. Douglas only carried Missouri and part of New Jersey. Despite his earlier efforts to maintain a middle ground, Douglas ultimately supported the Union when the Southern states began to secede. He died of typhoid fever in June 1861, just weeks after the Civil War began. His legacy is complex. While he championed democratic principles, his stance on slavery is widely viewed as a tragic attempt to compromise on a moral issue that could not be compromised. John C. Breckinridge. The Southern Democrats' choice, Breckinridge supported federal protection of slavery in all territories. John Cabell Breckinridge, 1821-1875, was an American politician, lawyer, and soldier who served as the 14th Vice President of the United States, 1857-1861, under President James Buchanan. He was the youngest vice president in U.S. history, elected at age 36, and was a rising star of the Democratic Party from Kentucky. In the tumultuous election of 1860, Breckinridge ran as the presidential candidate for the Southern Democrats after the party split over the issue of slavery. While Abraham Lincoln won the presidency, Breckinridge carried most of the southern slaveholding states, finishing second in the Electoral College but third in the popular vote. Though he initially advocated for preserving the Union, Breckinridge eventually sided with the Confederacy when the Civil War began. He joined the Confederate Army, rising to the rank of Major General, and served in several key battles. In early 1865, he became the Confederate Secretary of War, attempting to manage the failing war effort in its final months. After the Confederacy's collapse, Breckinridge fled the country to avoid capture, spending time in Cuba, Britain, and Canada. He returned to the United States in 1869 after being granted amnesty. He lived quietly in Kentucky until his death in 1875. The newly formed Constitutional Union Party, composed mainly of former Whigs and moderates, nominated John Bell, 1796 to 1869. Was an American politician, lawyer, and statesman from Tennessee who played a significant role in the politics of the antebellum United States. A former slaveholder who opposed the expansion of slavery, Bell was known for his moderate and constitutionalist views during a time of growing national division. He served in the U.S. House of Representatives, 1827 to 1841, including a term as Speaker of the House, and later in the U.S. Senate, 1847 to 1859. Over his long career, Bell was affiliated with multiple parties, including the Whigs and later the Constitutional Union Party, which he helped found. In the election of 1860, Bell ran for president as the Constitutional Union Party candidate. His platform aimed to preserve the Union and avoid secession by focusing on the Constitution and enforcement of existing laws, deliberately sidestepping the slavery debate. He drew support mainly from border states and carried Tennessee, Kentucky, and Virginia, finishing third in the Electoral College. After Lincoln's election and the secession of Southern states, Bell at first opposed disunion. However, when war became imminent following the attack on Fort Sumter, Bell reluctantly sided with the Confederacy, though he played no active role in the war. The Republican Party, opposing the expansion of slavery, nominated Abraham Lincoln. Abraham Lincoln, 1809 to 1865, was the 16th President of the United States, serving from 1861 until his assassination in 1865. Born in a log cabin in Kentucky, Lincoln rose from humble beginnings to become a self-taught lawyer, U.S. congressman, and ultimately one of America's most revered leaders. He gained national recognition during the 1858 Lincoln-Douglas debates, where he argued against the expansion of slavery. Although he lost the Senate race to Stephen A. Douglas, the debates elevated his profile, leading to his nomination as the Republican Party's presidential candidate in 1860. Lincoln won the presidency with a total of 180 electoral votes, all from free states, and approximately 39.8% of the popular vote. He did not appear on the ballot in 10 southern states. Breckinridge secured 72 electoral votes, primarily from the Deep South. Bell won 39 electoral votes from border states. And Douglas, despite receiving 29.4% of the popular vote, obtained only 12 electoral votes. Lincoln's election triggered the secession of southern states who feared he would abolish slavery. As president, Lincoln's leadership was tested by the outbreak of the American Civil War. He framed the war as a fight to preserve the Union, but increasingly emphasized emancipation as a moral imperative. His Emancipation Proclamation in 1863 declared enslaved people in Confederate-held territory to be free, changing the character of the war and paving the way for the 13th Amendment, which abolished slavery entirely. Lincoln was re-elected in 1864, but was assassinated by Confederate sympathizer John Wilkes Booth on April 14, 1865, just days after the Union's victory. His death marked a tragic turning point in American history.